have no reason to not believe that we're not going to be at a 240, 250,
Right.
$260,000 Bitcoin before the end of the year, which I still stand by.
The markets are about to blow up right before Thanksgiving.
Yes, at this boardroom I was telling you about, the Scar Lounge, we had Eric Trump come in last Friday.
Okay.
And basically gave one of the hottest takes on saying, if you're not in crypto, you should be. We flip you upside down and shake you down and everything falls out of your pockets. We assess everything that lands on the table and then send you away, of course, with more of an actionable plan and strategy and a system that's going to allow you to scale and become the company that you want to be. Sit on the aircraft, you look out the window, you see the engine on the wing, and you think that engine was on this wing from day one of this plane being made. People like myself are in transportation where those engines actually come off the plane very regularly.
Today I have a special guest. I brought back Jason Kollock, a friend of mine.
Welcome to Two Taps and Friends. Grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and let's dive into another episode of Two Taps and Friends.
Welcome back, everybody, to Two Taps and Friends. I'm the host of the show, Daniel Rosenberg. Today I have a special guest. I brought back Jason Kollock, a friend of mine. I had Jason on here before talking about crypto and the intro to crypto, and I wanted to bring him back because it's always an interesting topic. Jason, thank you for coming back on. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me, Danny.
Of course.
Appreciate it, man.
So you did the crypto. You explained crypto for dummies, pretty much, which includes me. You know what I mean, into that, and you did a good job. A lot of people like that. But tell the viewers, what you're doing now and give a little bit of intro about yourself, and then tell us what you're working on now, because I know you're in a really interesting environment now, know? So go ahead.
Yeah, so I, since last we spoke, I've just allocated a lot more to the portfolio.
Right.
Obviously, it's been a bit of a consolidation period because we've seen Bitcoin kind of stay at the 109, 120 range, which normally tends to lead to a very explosive fourth quarter, especially in a bull market. We'll get into that a little bit more.
Sure.
But as far as towards crypto and what I've personally been doing, just allocating towards some of the top, the leading market coins. So that's always good, especially when you're expecting a lot of upside in Q4.
Right.
And then day to day, I don't know if I spoke on it much, but I'm running a transportation business and a brokerage, and then was pursued by through LinkedIn, and credit to Mark, he was reaching out with Patrick Bet-David's team. So Pat, PBD, a lot of people are probably familiar with PBD's podcast.
Yeah, big fan of his. I like him very much.
Yeah.
I like the team over there, what they're doing over there. Their podcast is
it's
I love their
up.
podcast.
There was actually
great cast of characters. PBD, he's awesome.
Yeah, there was actually a there was a report that was put out where we were, in terms of YouTube streams, it was Fox was one. There was, and forgive me guys, there was one other one, and then we were third, putting us above CNN, MSNBC, like all these other large major networks that have tried to go onto other platforms.
Right.
But we've surpassed all of them. So Fox was still up there. Can't remember number 2, apologies. But then we were number 3. And then there's just, all the names.
The podcast itself.
This is our
whole network.
The network that we're putting out through YouTube. Right?
So he has a whole network now. The PBD network, is that what it's called?
Well, Valuetainment.
Valuetainment.
So
I know that. I don't know why I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Valuetainment,
right.
And then PBD and the podcast exists as it is underneath the Valuetainment, more the broadcast studio.
Right. He's got a bunch of stuff on there.
Yeah, and I mean the plan is to
her take that was all over the media lately with the whole
walk
thing,
off.
her take.
But the plan is aggressive, and it's to take over media. It's to make a multi-billion-dollar media corporation, and then also have So I'm on the Bet-David consulting side.
Okay, yeah. Talk to me about that a little bit.
Yep. So a firm that started about 5 years ago, Pat, very organic story. You can imagine a lot of people are receiving the content, that he's putting out through the years.
Yeah, tell me his story a little bit real quick.
Yeah.
Because I know that he's a super successful entrepreneur.
Iranian, Syrian,
I know he's
refugee,
Iranian, Syrian. He's Christian,
Christian,
right?
Yep,
yeah.
Christian man.
Right.
Very much family values.
Right.
That's where the community kind of developed, very organic, right?
By the way, the Persians are known to be fantastic businessmen.
Yeah.
Put that out there too, but he's something special.
He's staunch. He knows who he is, right? Which of course is actually one of the first steps in one of his books, Your Next 5 Moves.
Right.
But
what's the name of the book? Know your next 5 moves.
Your next 5 moves.
Right. Okay.
That. And so one of the first is knowing yourself, right? Mastering knowing yourself, and he knows that. And so because he knows that, when you lead that way, it just transcends to everyone else in the organization. There's a clear direction. Like I said, the idea is to become a multi-billion-dollar organization,
Right.
not just in the media side, but also with the Bet David consulting firm that I'm a part of now. And so, yeah, in the last 6 months, I was approached by the consulting firm there. It's located right at our headquarters is FXE, so right on the northeast side of the Fort Lauderdale Executive
Yeah,
Airport.
right down the road.
Yep, on Cypress. And yeah, it's been phenomenal. It's everyone there is next level. Everyone there is definitely a product of our organization, you know, and what's trying to be achieved. So yeah, it's a phenomenal opportunity.
He's bringing like-minded people
Yeah,
together.
yeah,
it sounds like.
yeah. I'm being led by leaders, developing leaders who are developing leaders. So it's
And
yeah.
when you say consulting, they're basically, so you were explaining a little bit to me, you're putting like, these are like mid-tier to like large corporations that are looking to like get better, expand,
Yes.
become more profitable.
Yep.
And they come and they're following, they want to follow the PBD way, or they want to
Correct.
get guidance from his team. Is
Correct.
that what it is?
Yep. Yeah. It's
Right.
again with how Pat has been so consumer facing, right, through the podcast.
Mhm.
People have found value, and so that's the origin story. So the origin story is Pat's putting out content, you know, 2016 all the way back through 2020. A lot of things obviously become online. People are at home. Viewership increases. He's getting a lot of phone calls, emails. Hey, I'm getting a lot of value from your content. It's changed my life. It's changed my business. And then of course people are reaching out and they're saying, hey, I have another question though, because
Sure.
but maybe but I'm thinking this. I want to do that with my business.
So they're using it for consulting.
Yeah,
like,
and so
right.
freemium. And so at the time, he's like, "That's phenomenal, and that's amazing. We're happy to hear that, but we don't do consulting, And then you take and you field more and more of those calls and emails, and you start thinking to yourself, "Wow, maybe we should do consulting,"
Right,
because
right.
clearly
I mean,
our
there's clearly
community,
a market for this,
right,
and people are
and
coming
existing
to me for
in our
this.
community,
Right.
So,
And
yeah,
he's got that aura to him. He's got like a trustworthy aura. He seems
Yep.
like a stand-up guy from what I can
absolutely.
see. And he's a guy that you would take advice from. And he's
Absolutely.
a no-nonsense guy.
One
just
of
just
the
to veer
things,
for a second,
yeah, go
sorry,
ahead.
on the with this her take thing, I know that Jillian Michaels walked off. She didn't
Mhm.
like some of the comments. I didn't like the shit that they were doing on that episode either, because I think this particular character, I'm not a fan of hers,
Mhm.
And Jillian didn't want to take it. She walked off, and I wanted to see how he would handle that, right?
Mhm.
Because she, Jillian Michaels I think she was in a right there, right?
Mhm.
But I think it was an excessive kind of walk off on, this is you're working for a
Right.
person that you respect, right? And I think what she said was like, he was like, oh, you should have come to me.
Mhm.
You should have come to me before it got to this. And
Yep.
I respect that. I think that's just a stand-up person. And that goes to show that, and her response was, he's right, I should
Yeah.
have, which shows what kind of a stand-up person this guy is,
Right.
right? Because he's the kind of guy that he will solve the issue, or he
Right.
will work through the issue with you. right?
100%.
So that lends itself to like, I think it's great that he's doing it. But go ahead,
Yeah.
I'm going to cut you off.
No, no.
Just based on my observations, how I read people.
Yep.
I read people for a living on juries,
Yeah,
so like
yeah.
that's the read I got on him.
Yeah,
Go
no,
ahead.
he's a phenomenal guy.
Right.
And so yeah, the firm started 5 years ago, and like you're saying, a lot of small, medium-sized businesses for sure. Folks coming in making $500,000, $1 million, all the way to people in the 9 figures, $1 billion valuation. So I would say the core business, as it stands, is the small to medium-sized businesses. 5 million, 10 million, 25, 50, 100 million. But yeah, it's all about scaling, optimization, bringing in key hires, who's your next as far as, maybe you're in the business and you need to be working more on the business. How do you bring in that key hire? What incentive plans, what structure do you have for developing the company so that, again, you can kind of go from the day-to-day as a CEO or as an executive lead to thinking more long-term, the larger action items as far as what's going to really move the needle in your company
Right.
while you have duplicated processes and systems.
So
and,
full diagnosis of
full
that
diagnosis,
company,
yeah.
and like literally from employees to marketing, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Right.
So yeah, there's some instances in the some of the consulting that we do in terms of the engagements where we literally the best it's maybe a poor analogy, but we flip you upside down and shake you down, and everything falls out of your pockets. We assess everything that lands on the table, and then send you away, of course, with more of an actionable plan and strategy and a system that's going to allow you to scale and become the company that you want to be.
Right.
And a lot of people see value in that.
Right.
It's they don't realize it's the old adage of you got to spend some money to make some money. But when we're delivering the ROIs that we are, it's we're incentivized by, of course, companies having to have success, because if you have success and we're the reason, the catalyst for your success, then of course you're maintaining a relationship with us and working with us more and more and more.
Right. I had a guest on there. We were talking about networks being so important. Like, you know, I have a successful law firm. He has a successful law firm, you know, and the network building, right?
Mhm.
Even when we're talking about doing the podcast, we were
Yeah.
talking about like doing a podcast. Is the podcast profitable? Are you trying to make money with the podcast? And it's not. If you're not making money, or you know, you can't really be doing it for that and this
Right.
kind of a thing. If that happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it does. But it doesn't. But rekindling and reconnecting with your network and having
it's
guys
huge.
and girls that you know come back on here and having these moments and having these laughs and that kind of thing is so massive. And that's
Yeah.
why I think PBD probably saw that early, saying,
yeah.
hey, this is a way for me to connect with everybody.
Yeah,
And like,
yeah.
what is better? I mean, what are you going to pay for an advertisement? Like, what's better than having people connect with you in
Right,
this way?
right.
And look,
Or their own word of mouth, right?
Right.
Like if they become your success story,
right.
it's the referral, you know,
Right.
and as in legal,
Right.
as you know, someone, you help somebody, you're that shining star in their darkest moment. And of course it's, oh, you got to call Danny, you know?
Right. I mean, it has to be natural.
Yeah.
That's what people don't get. Like, it can't be an act. Like, people
Right.
always ask me to this day, like, I'll take young lawyers that are coming out, you know, I always offer to take them to lunch, young lawyers that are going out in private practice, you know, out of the government, you know, public defenders or state attorneys, especially in the criminal world, right? Like, how do you get your cases? How do you get your cases? And we're like, listen, it
Treat
doesn't
people
really
right.
work that way, right? It's not like, you know, it used to be like the yellow pages, right? I never did that. That was like a little bit before. But the best referrals are your word of mouth. You hear that over and over again, and that might mean anything. It's your connection. It's your network. And even if you're working with Patrick Ben David's consulting team, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is these people, guys and girls, they're in your network now. Like
Yeah.
you were saying, like once these people are in your network, like
Yeah.
you can always fall back on them.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
I just had a guest on here who was a big, like I was saying, he's a
Mm-hmm.
big attorney, and he was like a guest he was on the Apprentice show. You remember that show?
Mm-hmm.
Literally got fired off the show.
Mhm.
Still friends with the Trumps, and
Sure.
everybody has that network.
Yeah.
And like it's something that like you can't put a number on that. And I think that for marketing, I think it's very essential to be around people that know what they're talking about. You
Yeah.
know? But I think the business owners coming in there and doing that takes a lot of guts, though.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of guts
Well,
to get turned upside down and have your
it
pockets
does.
empty.
It
You know what I
does.
mean?
It
I don't know
does.
that I want to do that.
And that's half of it. Is you have the people, like I say, who are the entrepreneurs. They're a couple $100,000 in. They're $1 million, you know, top line revenue.
Mhm.
And of course, it's you know, for them, it's just chaos and organizing it, right? And if you can provide the direction and the clarity, then you know they're on board, right?
Right.
In other instances, you're $100 million, you're $500 million, you're $1 billion, and of course you've run a successful business, you know, but it's kind of cracking the identity of that person and
Right.
saying, but you're not a $2 billion business.
Right.
You know,
That's like,
you're not,
like,
you know, and
you
sometimes
get
it's
that
hard.
defensive, you're like,
yeah,
well, screw you, it's not
yeah,
enough.
yeah,
I gotta
yeah,
do
right.
more and more, because you do have
Right.
that feeling as a business owner. You're like, oh, I gotta do more. I gotta do more.
Right.
And like,
Right. But it's not always doing more if you have a
Being
systematic
smarter.
approach to doing.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, again, everyone's at different phases in their life and then their business, but
I think with that, it's vital. I always found this. It's almost like I don't know. Like I'm probably guilty of like ignoring some of these consulting things because not ignoring, but like kind of, you know, because every business is so different. I think the biggest part for you guys is probably learning the actual business that's coming to you from help. You know,
Yeah.
because there are basic structures that businesses need to run by, and
Yep.
and to the core, those are the fundamentals that you kind of have to
100%.
always go to.
that's what
right?
we hone in on. Yeah.
Right. When you hone in on that, but there's
Yep.
each business has a unique thing to it that you can't you have to learn. Like,
Right.
so I've had people give me like, you know, I have a business management degree for whatever
Mm-hmm.
good that is, you know. But I mean, I think it's essential good degree to have to start, you know. Yeah, exactly, right? Like I have a business management degree, but you know, like my business is so unique.
Mhm.
Like, you know, like you have to be like, for example, like availability or separating yourself. Like as the criminal defense, in that criminal defense one, you got to be available. They
Yeah.
don't want to talk to people underneath you.
Right.
They don't want to, you have to try to make it so that they understand that this person
That you
is-
understand.
Yeah. So there's so much that goes into that. And I think that if a firm is a really good consulting firm, they take the time to do that.
100%.
And that's what would sell me,
Yeah.
you know, on some of these
Yeah.
things. 'Cause I hear
Yeah, we
people-
have a very, sorry.
No, go ahead, jump
Yeah,
in.
we have a very much a relationship process. You know,
Right.
it's not meet you on call one and provide product on call one.
Right.
you
Yeah.
know,
Here's our outline.
or options.
Do
yeah, right,
this.
yeah.
Right.
It's very much a relationship build, strategy. So, call, second call, a Zoom call, or in person, tour of the headquarters.
Yeah, or even tagging along
yeah.
one day sometimes,
Yeah,
like with me,
right.
would be helpful if people kind of tagged along with me for a day. I don't know if you can do that with every client.
No, but I'm sure you probably have, like, we have what we call a true needs analysis.
Right.
But it's not just the needs of the business. It's also where we differentiate is very much again, because of the relationship, we want to know the person,
Right.
Family, we want to know background. We want to know, what makes
What
you
their
tick.
routine is.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Because a lot of it too is your business won't change, especially from, you as a leader, or the point of the spear,
Sure.
if you don't create change.
100%.
You know what I mean? So we have to
100%.
actually identify the change that is a lot of times needed in the individual
Right.
that's leading the company,
Right.
to actually match the system that you're going to put in place for the business.
Right. You're trying to
Because it's going to
it.
cause you to be a different person to take your business to a different level.
Right.
Right.
And that's key. It's almost like dog training, right? I hate to use that example, but like, yeah, you can train the dog. You got to train the owner. You know, like
Yep.
train the owner. If you want
100%.
different results, the dog's going to learn whatever
Absolutely.
your routine is.
Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
can make a
Someone's got to
bunch
be the alpha.
Right. Well, you can
Someone's-
make a bunch of
yeah.
money and just spend a bunch of money.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the problem I
Yeah.
have.
And then, exactly.
That's the problem I have. Is I tend to spend a lot of money too.
Yeah.
Like I make a bunch of money, you spend a lot of money. So
Yep.
like you got to change those things too.
Yep.
So it's interesting. I think that's something that I think as a career and working in that is super.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing.
And
right.
if I
Like for
can-
you, you're getting like a cheat sheet here.
Oh,
Like,
oh,
and
yeah.
You're living the cheat sheet.
So I actually, it took me a few months being there, but I got in one day and I said, wow, I am developing underneath of who
A powerhouse.
many are calling right now the knowledge opinion leader, the KOL of the business world.
Right.
A guy who is trailblazing, his own path and creating even new ways to think, and new frameworks that are shaking, the current system. And, like I said, it is what it is. But I actually was like, I didn't come in day one like that. You know what I mean? Like it actually was a
Right.
couple weeks of like, wow, and then seeing him operate, seeing, our other leaders in management level and senior consultant level that, you realize like, wow, there's something really special, going
well,
on here.
clearly,
So-
right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, clearly, I mean, obviously from the outside looking in, but from the inside looking out, it's probably
Yeah.
a crazy perspective
Yeah.
too.
And on the local networking play, before we got on, I was telling you that the boardroom is something very exclusive and very special as well. It's a private cigar lounge that we have that's here locally in Fort Lauderdale. And
It's called the boardroom.
It's called the boardroom.
Right.
Yep.
Where is it?
So it's right on US 1, just south of the hospital.
Okay.
It's what's it right next to? There's the Ferrari dealership just south.
Yeah.
And so it's like the street
Okay.
just
Yeah.
up.
I
Yep.
know where it is. Okay.
So yeah, it's right on the east side as you're heading north.
Is it
and
invite only? Is it open to
Yeah,
the
so
public?
it's private membership
okay.
only. Yep. There's like 3 different tiers, and then the top tier there is like another exclusive area inside. That's only for the platinum members. But yeah, it's phenomenal. And as everyone knows, there's the office setting, but then there's the boardroom setting, and the powerhouses and the people that are doing some significant things in the business world, not just locally. We actually have some people who are on platinum memberships,
Right.
and they don't even live in the country.
Wow.
Like
Oh, yeah,
that,
they just
and
wanna
they
be
might,
at
they just want to have access.
Yeah,
So
be
when they're
part of the
here
show, be part of the
once,
party.
twice, 3 times a year, to be able to pop in there, bring
Is he a big Is he a big cigar smoker?
huge,
Okay.
yeah,
So he's a
big cigar guy,
right.
yep, yeah, big pair, of whiskeys and things.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a
Very cool.
phenomenal space as well.
Very cool. So that's
Yeah.
interesting. I'll be watching that develop. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
man.
Obviously,
Yeah.
I love to get a crack at him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Having a little one-on-one. Obviously,
Yeah.
that's like, the guy's like he's
Hey,
huge, right?
we
He's a
got
big dude.
we got to break through that limiting belief.
Yeah, I don't have a limiting belief. I just said I
you
want to
gotta-
do it.
yeah.
It will happen.
It will
you know,
happen.
like
That's it.
TBD,
That's
you
the
and
language.
I will meet, my friend.
Pat,
You know,
Maybe,
and we'll
maybe
get
we
along.
Maybe
I
we get
promise
Danny
that.
on.
I hope we get along. No, I'm joking. We'll get along. But so going back to crypto a little bit, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting. We can kind of hop back and forth here
Yeah.
because you're an interesting guy. Dude.
Mhm.
So wait, but let's go about the car moving. You were moving like what was it? You were moving. What was the business you were doing? Or you still do?
Yeah,
right?
so transportation. Yep,
Right?
yep.
Transportation for big
yes.
corporations.
So,
or-
mostly aviation and aerospace companies.
Okay.
Yep.
So what is that? Tell me about that a little
So the larger assets, right? So you have a lot of people don't know this, but Boeing, Airbus, the two major OEMs of the world
Right.
making commercial aircraft,
Right.
you know, when those airplanes, they have an airframe, right? So everything that's actually the structure
Okay.
of the aircraft, wings, fuselage, the main primary component. Right?
Like put together. You
Oh,
mean?
well, no, just
When
like
the-
a fully assembled,
Okay,
but it's
fully
coming off the
assembled.
line, right?
Okay.
Well, of course, there's engines, right? And a lot of people think, oh, that, you know, you sit on the aircraft, you look out the window, you see the engine on the wing, and you think that engine was on this wing from day one of this plane being made,
Right.
and it's on there till the last time that this plane flies.
Right.
So people like myself are in transportation where those engines actually come off the plane very regularly.
Oh, that's
That-
lovely to know.
Yep. Yeah, very, very
What kind
regularly.
of locking
Yep.
system do they have on while they're on
It's
the
a
air,
phenomenal
dude?
locking system.
Okay, good.
And it's a very much, it's a very, it's
ladies
an
and gentlemen. It does not
interlocking.
come off
Yeah.
unless some special wizard comes
Yes.
after they're grounded
Yes,
and puts
and to have you know, the FAA is the most regulated agency in the world flying.
All right, good. We put the
And
disclaimers
yes,
out, right?
and that's why we have as little of the air incidents that we do.
Knock on wood. Or if this is even wood, right? So,
But
they come off. The
yeah, so
engines
they come off. People like myself, you know, schedule, of course, the transport from having them where they are to where they need to go. Most of the time, that's to an MRO, which is a maintenance, repair, and overhaul facility. They're, of course, repaired, done what's needed
Well, that
to be
makes
done.
sense. You don't even think about it. They can't fly. If a plane's having problems, they're not going to fly it to the area to repair it. They take it apart. And
Yeah,
ship it.
yeah, they take the asset or the engine, whole asset off the aircraft. It's loaded onto a truck. It's either flown or locally delivered to a repair facility. It's, again, just basically overhauled from the sense of just looking at every aspect, putting it all back together, anything that needs to be done so that it becomes serviceable again. Once
Got
it
it.
goes serviceable, there's two things. Either the airline owns the engine, a leasing company, which is normally just a large group of people that, you know, put a bunch of money in to buy 30, 40, 60 engines. They're working on leases constantly. So always, this engine's on this aircraft flying for Southwest right now. Southwest owns the plane, the actual airframe. Right?
Wow. So
But
these
the
are separate
engine-
entities.
Absolutely, yeah.
People are leasing the engines.
100%, yep. But then the airlines are leasing the engines from a leaser, yep. And so
Wow.
or a
Nobody
lessor.
knows that except
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
No, I'm
So
joking. People in the
so
industry.
then what happens is as that engine's coming off, you know, the airline is negotiating contracts, you know, all the time for what asset, how many more cycle counts does it have till it has to be overhauled again. So how
Right.
many flights can they get out of it, basically? And you know what, buying it as cheap as they can, but of course in a serviceable condition, and then getting as much as they can out of it for their own business system, where again they're trying to make sure that the planes are flying, people are on the aircraft, selling tickets, moving people around, because every time that their aircraft has to go down because maybe they improperly planned on how long that engine would run, or there's an issue unforeseen, that means that they're not having passengers on the plane. Right, and of course means the bread and butter of their business isn't operating.
Right.
So, so yeah, that's.
So is there instances where like the frame lasts and they replace the engine, they just get new
100%.
Like, so in most times the engine will not live half as long as the plane will live. The frame.
correct. Yeah, just think of it just like anything else. You know, the most wear and tear, you know, the most operational
is the
need is the
engine,
engine.
right.
The most that you put, and it's flying through multiple conditions, especially if you're, you know, a transatlantic or a global carrier.
Sure.
Sometimes you're going into the Middle East and you literally have more sand, you know, in the air. You know,
Right.
sometimes you're going into the Pacific Northwest, more moisture. Sometimes you're, you know, dry. Sometimes you're cold.
That's
Sometimes you're,
interesting.
yeah. So
That's
all these
incredible.
different conditions.
I always find it interesting when I talk to different people, finding out little things about like. Remember, I met a guy who's rented satellites
Mhm.
time. You know, like just
Okay.
learning about all these new. And like most
Yeah.
people have no idea about any
Yeah.
of this stuff.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. So you're doing that. That's
Yep.
how did you get in that niche?
About 6 years ago,
Okay.
7 years ago, I worked for a freight forwarder, and then the freight forwarder.
Well,
Yeah.
that would lend itself.
Yep.
Okay.
So the freight forwarder, you know, once I got a lot of things under my belt from that standpoint, I basically said, hey, you know what, I think I can do this on my own, you know. And so 3.5 years ago, I was with them for about 4 years, 3.5, 4 years, and sorry, actually, there was an intern period where I did work for one other brokerage company for about 9 months to a year, and then I was like, you know, I can do this on my own. So I better part of 2.5, almost going on 3 years, you know, I have done that. And then here in the even shorter time, of course, the recruiting team at the firm was like, hey, you know, looking for people that understand business. because you're going to be talking to people that are operating business,
Right.
And so it just kind of was a beautiful tie where I knew that there was, I'm servicing an industry and relationships that I'm already such a critical component of what is a lot of businesses and companies' critical component, which is their supply chain, right?
Right.
And what happens if I actually work, especially for a guy like Pat, on understanding all these other variables and different aspects of business, where I could then retain and extract that information and deliver it back to already, my existing
Wow.
relationships. So
That's what's cool about the consulting firm is like, and I love this about being a lawyer, and I own a litigation firm. So we don't just do criminal, we do, I have a partner that heads the real estate and business litigation. I'm involved in all of it, but you learn so much about so many industries, right? And in a consulting firm, I can't even imagine what you guys are seeing come through. You have to learn about so much.
Yeah.
You become versed in so much, and it's cool. Not that you're experts in everything, right?
No.
Clearly
and
not.
we very much say that,
Well, I mean, listen. If you don't have the ego, I've never had a problem saying that, right? Like, there's people that have a problem saying that. That's their own personality dysfunction. Yeah. They're dangerous people, actually, those people. But I think it's fascinating to learn these different things. Like, this is what I enjoy doing. Like, this is part of why I love the podcast, because you're learning stuff about this. Like, what the hell am I going to learn about this?
Yeah,
it's going to screw up my next flight. I'll tell you that, because I'm going to be looking at that thing fucking locked
So I did actually.
You might know too much. If I were you,
I thought of that.
I
for
would
a
John
while.
Madden everywhere if I were you on the bus.
Let me do one other plug.
Okay.
So BF Aerospace
Okay.
is a company over in Davie, and they have the contract. I know that one of their primary contracts is Spirit Airlines, and so everything that's
how are their locks? I'm just joking.
well,
Go ahead.
everything. So just what they service for Spirit is life-saving and critical. Has like over-the-wing slides, inflatables, oxygen and different things, right? So what's cool is a friend of mine, Louis Pabon. He's actually the quality control manager, and so he's the final sign-off, right? So, for example,
So he does the checks and bells,
Yeah.
all the bells and whistles.
yeah. So if you were, for example, to have an issue where a Spirit airline flight were to go down, and let's say
God
the
forbid.
slide didn't deploy or something were to happen,
Right.
it would actually be that chain of custody kind of through Lewis that the FAA would then pursue not just the company, but him as an individual on any issue that was related to something not working the way it should have worked.
Wow.
That might have caused people to lose their lives.
So he'd be the one testifying. He'd
Yeah.
be the one this.
Yeah.
That's a tough position.
Yeah.
That's a
So
tough position.
shout out Louis Pabon.
Shout out Louis Pabon, man.
BF
Thank you for doing what
Aerospace.
you do.
Yeah, Ricardo and Enrique.
Make sure you
Yep.
get a good night's sleep every night. Keep that shit
Yep.
airtight, man.
Yep,
We
JP.
need you. Yeah,
Yep.
dude.
Yeah.
But all right, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But so let's spend the last few minutes talking about some crypto.
Yeah.
You sent me a text.
Yep.
I don't know if you were talking regular markets or the crypto markets. When you sent
Crypto
that to me.
markets
Right. You sent
specifically.
me a text saying, "Hey."
Because
It was almost like a tip off. I felt like I was getting like some insider information, The markets are about to blow up right before Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Tell me why that is.
Mhm.
Tell the viewers what you're seeing and also like we'll get to like what you look for and things, but tell them why it is now that
Yeah.
you think it's going to pop. I mean, since we were on last time, it grew,
Yeah.
right? I don't remember what it
Yeah,
was. It was
I
like a
think
little over 100. We're at 118 now.
Yeah, we went from when we spoke last time. It was like it went from 86 to like 109.
Yeah, I mean, but you said that you were like, dude, it's going to be quick.
And then 109, of course, since even here recently, it hit an all-time high of like 125.4 something. And then, of course, my intelligence at the time was saying, I have no reason to not believe that we're not going to be at a 240, 250, $260,000 Bitcoin before the end of the year, which I still stand by.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy
yeah.
shit.
So doubling up from 125, right now is what I'm projecting through October, through Thanksgiving. What happens or the reason why is because we're going to expect another rate cut, right, by the Fed. There's also historically in Q4 about 85% to 90% run up, on Bitcoin in the bull market, which again still means that whatever the current price is today, that there's still 85% minimum for us to realize. Right.
Let me pause you. Rate cut. You mean rate cut on what? On the Fed.
Fed.
On the
Yep,
Fed.
yep,
So
Fed
how
rate
is
cut.
that related to the crypto? People just lean into the crypto more?
Yeah. So what happens is like the
I'm just for dummies,
Yep,
right?
yep. So
no
the,
offense to the viewers and listeners.
no,
There's
no,
as
it's okay.
lost as I can be on this, but go ahead.
Yeah. So a lot of times the speculative assets.
Right.
So of course crypto being one of them.
Right.
Anytime that there's a rate cut a lot of money and cash flow will flow into those. There'll be a large inflow.
Right.
And what right now they're projecting is on this next rate cut, there being about $36 billion of that type of inflow into the crypto ecosystem.
Oh, wow.
Mostly Bitcoin, Ethereum. So that there, when you trigger a $36 billion inflow, and that type of liquidity flows in, that's where you see, 85, 100% return on principal investment today.
Got it. Wow.
So again, if you do the math, you're at 120, 125. If you go 100% on that, you're at 250.
So you think that's about to pop off?
Yeah. Yep. So, and then also historically in Q4, you have, they call it Uptober, so instead of October, you have Uptober, which probably will start kicking off, early to mid next week, where these types of price activities will go up.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So let me
And then
ask.
Thanksgiving, you have the Thanksgiving hero. So in crypto, again, this is more the dark Twitter side, but you have the person that talks like me,
Yeah.
and then it gives them the opportunity at Thanksgiving around the dinner table to all the people that are like, oh,
To pump
crypto,
it.
yeah.
And then people throw their money.
Yeah,
in.
yeah, and then because then that's what happens is you
'Cause
go
it's
out,
speculation, all
yeah,
of it
you
is,
go
right?
out
That's
to
what
everybody
markets
and
are.
you tell them, like I've told you, hey, times now. They don't do it, so then at Thanksgiving you look like a hero. Between Thanksgiving and Christmas
Yeah,
dinner,
right,
you look like a
right,
hero.
right.
And then
Or
they decide,
or you skip the dinner.
yeah, right, yeah. Then they decide to invest, and then of course, just like everything else, you have a run up and then you have a pullback.
Right.
So a lot of people who didn't believe when they should had, then believe you because they see it happen. So then they invest, and then going into New Year's, you got the doom and gloom because they said, well, you told me to invest.
Right.
I told you to invest 2, 3, 4 months ago, 5, 6 months ago, right? And you had to wait to see the result that I told you about to invest, and then of course it pulls
It
back.
pulls back, right?
So
I mean, that's always
Yeah.
always the challenge
Yeah.
to jump in right when it's the hard part, right?
Yeah.
That's the hard part.
Yeah.
So you were mentioning to me on the phone the other day that you were hearing that the government is getting more into crypto. Like
Mhm.
the Trump administration is
Yeah.
kind of moving towards it. We see El Salvador's moved their currency to that.
Yep.
How does that conflict, or how does that coincide with the whole theory of the cryptocurrencies that you were explaining to me, and getting away from governments and
Yeah.
getting away from them being involved? And should that make people nervous when they do get involved? Are they trying to assume control? Is it even possible to assume
No.
control? Explain it to me. How
Yeah.
does a government get involved in this? They just become a purchaser just like
Yep.
everybody
yeah,
else?
they just create a wallet, the same way that we would
For the U.S. government. Same way
Exactly.
Salvador did.
Yep.
Is that working out for Bukele, by the way?
100%,
Is
yeah.
he making money? I
Yeah.
mean, is he cashing out on the money? Is it
Um,
just sitting there? I mean,
no, but what he's done is he's made the country net positive.
for the
you know?
viewers, we're
Yeah.
talking about Nayib Bukele,
Yep.
who's the president of El Salvador. Controversial figure, some people say. Some people like him, some people don't. My family's half Salvadorian, so I know a lot about him.
Yeah, I love the guy. I appreciate him.
Yeah, I mean,
I think he made a
he's
smart
done.
move.
I can tell you from what I see going there for 30 years. I've been going to El Salvador for 24 years or something. The safety is obviously much better. You can
Yep.
walk around. I mean, he literally arrested a lot of young people. That's
Yep.
controversial in and of itself. He did a lot of like forward moving or, controversial stuff, trying to, what he says, clean up a government that, has been alleged to have been corrupt for a long time. They've had civil wars down there. So it's split. It's kind of like the Trump thing down there, right? Depends on who you talk to. They love him or hate him.
Yeah.
But he definitely did. He was the first country to literally go into this currency. Is that accurate or not really? He's the first publicized one, right?
Yeah, I believe he was the first to say that we're going to hedge, all available liquid cash, like in the local currency, to deploy into Bitcoin. And that was at like, I want to say that was like $30,000 a coin.
And now it's at 100.
Yeah, maybe $50,000 a coin. Now you're at 125.
125, right?
Yeah, and so, or 120 today, I guess. So yeah, I mean, phenomenal move by him. And so to kind of answer the question,
Does he leverage against it? Do you leverage against your profits? Does it help
He-
the country? Or
yeah.
do you just sit on it?
no,
right?
what he's doing is they sit on the money,
Right.
In terms of being able to just say net positive, right?
Mhm.
And then what happens is due to any other, because it's South America, it's a nation in South
Central
America.
America. would be
Central
direct,
America,
but
sorry.
yes.
And so a lot of times, the bank and the system of government, tied to, of course, the people
Sure.
becomes very conflicted, right?
Right.
Because those at the top, that's where, of course, the socialism and things come into play.
Right.
And with mismanagement, then, of course, the money detaches and it's not so much working for the people anymore,
Right.
Causing massive inflation. And then, of course, you lead, into all those other trickle-down effects. And so what Bukele's strategy was essentially to take what was available, buy Bitcoin, right? So he did have to kind of persuade all the people of the nation,
Right.
and he didn't have the best acceptance on that idea either.
Of course not.
But now again, when you buy it at 30 and you're four
a
times on your
genius.
money, yeah. And so what he's able to do exactly is he's able to leverage that net positive for the country, and he's able to again negotiate deals that wouldn't have already been available
Sure,
because
'cause
now
it's net
you
positive.
have a proof of funds.
Right, right.
You have a
So he leverages against
so
it.
he's leveraging against
Right,
it, yeah,
right. So
for
it's smart.
the interests of the country,
Right.
which is the same thing. So your question of is it good to have governments involved? Is it not good to have governments? A quick little point is also at this boardroom I was telling you about, the Cigar Lounge. We had Eric Trump come in last Friday
Okay.
and basically gave one of the hottest takes on saying, if you're not in crypto, you should be, you need to be, because the United States federal government is going to be in crypto with a hard plan. And we have the smartest people in the world in terms of working on that plan and working on that strategy. And what I'll say is, even like in a situation where we have the government shut down, that's a real effect that happens on a real economy, and that's the US dollar and the Federal Reserve and different things that has an impact on. When you have a decentralized currency, right, which is operating, essentially through nodes that are spread out throughout the world, operating on the internet, totally connected but disconnected from the centralized authority of the government, then what happens is you have a currency that's not held or tied to any political decision or political condition, which means that those who are have the asset, that are holding the asset, it's going to become more stabilized, right, against things like the local currencies, right?
Right.
So government shutdown, all the things that happen to that local currency of course can fluctuate, but as people understand that Bitcoin especially is a way to store value, like your net worth can be held in Bitcoin more securely than, of course, the centralized banks, because banks can fail,
Right.
right? And then you have a run
You're
on the
relying
bank.
on the insurance, federal insurance,
yeah.
right.
And then you're running, yeah, exactly. Now you're on those class action, you're
Right,
waiting
right,
6
right,
months,
right.
years, to try to recover that. But Bitcoin gives that place, especially for, those with extreme wealth, a more secure option. And
They're not tied to any government.
they're not tied to any government.
upheaval, civil
Exactly.
wars.
Exactly. Yep. And if you have, your wallet and you have your currency on your phone and you want to, take this phone to Asia, right, to go meet someone in Asia and then agree upon, something that a value of
It's your own
exchange.
bank.
Boom. You say, okay, how much Bitcoin? It's a paradigm shift that the world's going to go through. And they're going to say, wow, it used to be I would take cash, or it used to be I would have to work with a bank that then would have 7 days, 10 days, 2 weeks to settle, and the
Right, right.
remittance, and my bank communicates to your bank and your bank, and you're waiting and you're stagnant and you're holding on to be able to actually close the deal.
Right.
And now you have a currency that in minutes, if you have $1 million transaction, you have $1 million, I have the good or service or asset, that I want, and I walk away,
You think the scary thing for people, for me still,
Mhm.
is that, the like Coinbase,
Mhm.
the wallet.
Centralized authority.
Right. It's
Yep.
It seems like, because it was always so associated with the shadiness and the scammers
Yeah.
back in the day. And I don't know about the crypto, well, maybe the coin a little bit, but you're always worried, like, is my money safe there,
Mhm.
right? Because you've had this illusion of your bank money always being safe, right? It's
Mhm.
federal. You hear the words federally
FDIC,
insured,
yep.
FDIC, and all that stuff. But so it's like, do I put like thousands and thousands or millions into this wallet? Can I talk to someone on a phone? Like, can you reach someone on Coinbase and have a conversation?
You can reach someone on Coinbase, yes.
Right, because a lot of it's these like
But-
codes and emails.
but
and
you have to remember-
I get text every day. someone's trying to get into your code. There's scams. They want me to click on it.
I
you
know. I just had a couple friends. My sister actually.
Right.
Was
Our
just,
friend. Are you friends with,
Yeah, Derek. Yeah.
25 grand got
Yeah.
taken from the guy.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
So that there's a little bit to unpack, but the simple answer is if we want a different relationship to those that have said that this was a good system. Let me make sure I'm phrasing this correctly. The system we live in, we all of a sudden found ourselves in, right? Due to leaders that said, we're going to work with the banks. These banks are going to work in this style of relationship with the government.
Right.
This style of government and the banks are going to work for the people. You know what I mean? That's not, it's not working out, So if we want a different relationship with our money, meaning we want, we don't want bank involvement, we don't want the centralized authority involvement, then we do have to have a different relationship with ourselves. Right. So when you talk about security, or when you talk about, putting $1 million onto a wallet, there has to be a level of responsibility that, we're going to have to increase, because we've displaced all that responsibility into the system.
Right.
But the system's not working.
Well, how
So
do we
now it's
increase
like
that responsibility?
we increase that responsibility by increasing our intelligence and knowledge.
Good luck with that,
I know.
Nowadays.
On this new
And
system.
I got news for you, Jason.
Yeah.
Intelligence is going down.
I know.
I'm messing with you, but go ahead.
But it's
Go ahead.
okay. It's
I'm
okay.
fucking with you.
Because I believe in people.
Right.
I believe that, there's going to be, again, a paradigm shift. There's going to be this aha that says, wow, you know what? If I do take a little more control on how I interact with my finances, then and we can show them what that empowerment looks like on the other side. The curve of what they feel like is so far off right now is going to be quickly adopted, because they're going to say, oh, you know what? I could be making 10, 12, 15, 20% on my crypto holdings, versus why do we just settle with a bank telling us that in a interest-bearing savings, typical savings account, 1 to 3% is okay.
Right.
It's just what it is.
Right.
There's not even another option. But there is another option. The other option is decentralized finance, crypto. And if you are willing to, educate, and you're willing to evolve in your understanding of how a relationship with money can look like for you, then you can reap the reward of all those benefits.
The simple answer, I'll tell you, for the layman, is going to be make it so I can cash out quick.
Yep. But you can. It's there. You can right now.
I stake something. I don't know how the hell to get it out, by the way.
Well,
how the hell do I get a stake out? I put some shit.
You click unstake.
No, it doesn't work that way. I click unstake. It says me 7 messages. Are you sure you want to unstake?
Because
are you double dog sure you want to unstake?
Staking normally comes with conditions. Those conditions, just because we live in a click world and quick world.
Staking, for those that you don't know, real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
That means you put it away at a higher interest. You gain more money on it, but it's locked away for a certain amount of time. Kind of like a CD.
Yep, usually 3-6 months.
Right.
And that's what people forget is, oh crap, I did
4 months.
I did agree,
that's what it is.
That this was going to be locked away, but that, they just see, oh, I'm going to get 8%, 12%, and
pull it.
So they hit stake, and then it's like, you didn't look at that next thing, the confirmation, where they're like, you sure? Because it's going to be locked away for 6 months.
And then if you unbreak it, you just pay a fee on it? Is that how it works? Or you can't?
No, you can't. Normally you can't break the stake. Which is why that's the relationship. That's understanding, that this is how it's going to work. But I'm going to get not 1-3%. I'm going to get 8-12%.
We need crypto financial advisors.
100%. Yeah, which is another aspect of what we're doing.
Is that what you guys do in PPD?
Yeah. Yep. So we do work
on the money. That's what I need you immediately.
Yeah,
for
we
crypto.
have.
I have you.
So yeah, absolutely.
Right.
You have me all the time.
Right.
Real quick, the idea is, of course, businesses across all of industry. But we're very aggressively approaching where, direct consulting for political figures, which, you have Eric Trump on the pod. We've had Donald Trump on the podcast.
Get Bukele on the podcast.
We should get Bukele on the pod. That's actually would be great. But we
PBD, you see, I'm full of ideas. Let's meet, my friend.
We have, and I'll stand by that. We have, of course, a lot of athletes in the area, for all the sports teams. Which Pat has relationships with, and in a lot of instances train. We have a gym on the facility, and there's a couple guys at the professional level that come and hang out. So yeah, I'm just letting everyone know that decentralized finance and crypto, sports, political, of course, all traditional business as has been throughout the decades of however long business has existed
Right,
with
right.
mankind. So all those traditional industries. But yeah, it's all available.
That's very cool, man. So I mean, so yeah, I mean now I see like my thought process is like, all right, I'm gonna go put money in Bitcoin. Right, that was what I'm thinking right now. Then I'm like, all right, because I just had like some CD expire that's just sitting there with no money. You know, they don't warn you, especially it was like with Bank of America. You know, like they don't. I don't know any. I hate that I have anything there, right? But like I could just take that, throw it into crypto, right? But then I need to know like
if it means anything,
can I get out?
I've
How
almost
quick?
completely unbanked myself. If it means anything,
I mean, I would assume
So,
you,
yeah,
but you
so-
know exactly what you're doing. You know the ins and outs. It would take some like a learning curve there.
The only thing I have is the cash flow in terms of a business account and from the firm and things. But as soon as that hits, in some instances, I am of course accepting payment and receiving payment in crypto directly. But also then it immediately goes into a crypto account.
Got it.
So, and which I have a card that I can spend off of.
Oh, you
So-
have they give you like a credit card
Yeah.
to use?
So
Is it
the one
with a credit card company like Visa?
Yeah, so Visa is partnered with Green Dot Bank, which Green Dot Bank has a partnership with Crypto.com. So the only centralized exchange that I currently use, apart from like my cold storage wallet and other different decentralized apps, is Crypto.com. Is the only crypto exchange that I use, which is like Coinbase.
So it's the same thing as Coinbase.
Yeah, same thing as Coinbase.
So you recommend them over Coinbase?
Yeah.
Right.
I think that
'Cause I have a Coinbase now, but I might want
and
to
they're
start.
just about to launch, or they have launched actually, or sorry, you know what, before I say anything too much, they are very much either already deployed or are right now deploying an ETF on the Kronos network, which is their native token, where they also have partnered with Trump Media. It's either I think it's a $2.5 or $3 billion infusion that Trump Media is bringing into the ecosystem of Crypto.com. And yeah, so
you just link it. You link it the same way to your bank account.
yeah,
And
yep,
transfer money.
I have my bank account. So anything that comes in through Chase, I just immediately it's sent over to Crypto.com. And then inside of Crypto.com, I can
do
actually
your trading.
Yeah, and I can also buy not only crypto assets, but I can also buy different ETFs and different traditional stocks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
got to show me that.
so
I need
now,
to steal you
so
for
now
lunch
they've
because you got to show
100%.
me.
Yeah. So now
And then
they've-
you'll be invited to Thanksgiving dinner
all
at
right,
my
yeah.
house, depending on how
Just
that
don't invite
goes.
me for New Year's Eve.
No, you know what? I'm bringing you New Year's. Let's put the pressure on, dude. You're at my house New Year's Eve. Dude.
Yeah.
That way we make sure, it works out for me.
Yep.
But listen, man, we're out of time here. I love having you on. I like to have you on periodically and kind of get updates on what's going on, man. I think that's awesome stuff you're doing. You're very diverse. I'll give you that, but
Thanks.
it's all in very, very niche stuff, So thank you for coming on, bro.
Is there any time for me to do a plug?
100% right now, do the plug.
Okay,
That's what I was
all right.
just about to ask you.
If you are a business leader, executive, CEO, founder of a company, entrepreneur of any kind based in Florida, throughout the domestic US or around the world, I would love to, of course, engage with you. And maybe what I'll do is I give you a link.
Give me
for-
links, give me the handles. We're going to put it, ladies and we'll put them all, the viewers are listening.
Yeah.
We're going to put it all at the bottom.
Yeah.
We'll link you up. We'll even invite you to collaborate on all the posts that we put out there.
Awesome.
So we'll
Yeah.
make sure we're cross-branding here.
Bet David Consulting would love to help you out and take care of you.
100%.
Yeah. Thank you,
Thank
Danny.
you for coming on
Yeah.
always, and I'll be having you on again. To all my viewers and listeners, thank you for listening. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Like I always say, if you like, subscribe, it gives us more outreach. We're able to get cool guests on like this, bring more information to you. You can follow us. We're everywhere. We're on YouTube. We're on iHeartMusic. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. Wherever, Instagram, Facebook. We're everywhere. We appreciate you listening. We love you all. Thanks for listening. See you next time. Goodbye. Cut.
All right. Was that
Perfect.
okay?
Dude, you're great.